bank and get as much as you
Exactly,
possibly can. I'm
exactly.
thinking tramadol, like,
It was, and every bit of it was tramadol, and
most patients get PO whenever you gotta give them. You have some pain medicine, all you got is tramadol.
Tramadol made my head raw, but
Yes.
it was good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Diclofenac, I've got a prescription for that. Pretty well.
I
Actually got,
Every 5 minutes.
I've given Dilaudid thousands of times. I've never had it until I had pain right here. And when I went to the emergency room, I don't tell them that I'm
Yeah.
medically or nothing. This little nurse, she comes in, she said, well, I'll give you some pain medicine. It's called Dilaudid. I said, okay. Thinking, I've never had this before.
It's good stuff.
Oh my God.
Somebody's,
You push that and it just, oh, it's wonderful.
somebody's microphone's on,
I've only taken hydrocodone.
or
once.
audio, I
I've
mean,
got
on their
some pulled out,
laptop.
And I got 7. I took all 7. Is it me?
Or maybe it's Jason.
Oh, I think I turned mine off. It is me? Well,
Okay, let's, better? Good, okay. Good afternoon. The Board of Nursing is now in session. We are going to start with some business. The first thing is I have a motion before the board. I move that the ADH Arkansas State Board of Nursing approve all items on the consent agenda for June 3rd, 2026. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion will carry. And then I believe we will now start with committee reports, and we will start with Mrs. Tabby.
Hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna have a pretty extensive report to go through. There was a lot this morning. We did get through it pretty quick, but it's gonna be pretty simple. The first thing we started off with was the conflicts of interest declaration. Second item on the agenda was review of the purpose of the committee. Brandy reviewed that. And then third item on the agenda was our minutes of our January 7th. There was no revisions for our minutes. Agenda item number 4 was program approval updates, action items. The first one on there was the Arkansas State University Distant Education Site request. And what they did is the Bachelor of Science in Nursing and the Associate Degree programs are requesting the approval for a distant education site located in Memphis, Tennessee, to provide a dedicated space for all students to complete pre and post clinical conference when practicing in and out of the state for clinical rotations. The university, item number 2, University of Arkansas East College Community College Medication Assistant Program closure. UAE-ACC decided that they did not have enough participation for their MAC program, so they chose to close it. So they brought that to the board today. So they are now, the decision to close the medication assistant program is in effect immediately. Number 3 is North Arkansas Associate. Oh, let me back up just a minute. Let's back up and go to Arkansas State University Distant Education Site. I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing approves the use of the distance education site in Memphis, Tennessee for the Arkansas State University BSN and AD programs. Do I have a second?
I don't think you need a second, right? Because on the committee reports. What?
The committee voted on.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So you can just do the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ally. Second one I went over was the East Arkansas Community College. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing accept the intent to close the University of Arkansas East Arkansas Community College Medication Assistant Program effective June 3rd, 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I've got so many papers here. Okay. Next was North Arkansas College Associate Degree Program approval. The North Arkansas College Traditional Associate Degree Program was granted full approval from the Arkansas State Board of Nursing in 75. Since the last survey in 2021, they have maintained an NCLEX rate of 75%. Therefore, according to Part 125 Educational Standards, a site visit was required, and the program was allowed to submit a paper survey seeking continued approval, and that did happen. They've got really good pass rates, and they're doing really well. So I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants continued full approval to the North Arkansas College of the University of Arkansas AD program and until 2031. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next was the Arkansas Healthcare Association. A paper survey site was required before the first graduating cohort, and that was completed. A survey and site visit was conducted March 18th and 19th, and on all three campuses, Little Rock, Jonesboro, and Rogers. There were a few deficiencies, but that with no recommendations, they did really well, and they have completed all of those deficiencies. So everything was good with them. No questions from the board. So I have a motion. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants full approval to the Arkansas Healthcare Association PN program until the year 2029. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the list was University of Arkansas Pulaski Tech MAC program. For the last 5 consecutive years, they've had a below 75% pass rate. They were here today to tell us that they were thinking it was possibly because their instructor was part-time, that they have hired a new full-time instructor for an 8-week course. So they do have a plan in place to try to fix this. So Brandy's going to be watching this close, and of course we all will. So we went ahead and made a motion to the committee, and it was just trying to see here. I think I had some more notes on that. But I think they'll get it together. I think they've figured out the cause and figured it out, but we'll find out real quick because they'll have a cohort starting this fall. I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing moves the University of Arkansas Pulaski Tech College CMA program to continual approval due to failure to maintain a minimum. Oh, conditional. Sorry, what did I say? Oh, good Lord, have mercy. Conditional approval due to failure to maintain a minimum 75% overall pass rate. The conditional approval status will be in effect until 2027, at which time the board will reevaluate the program's overall exam pass rate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is Arkansas State University BB Associate Program. A paper report with a site visit was required for continued board approval. The program had a combined site visit with the practical nursing PN program on February 26th of 2026 for continued full approval. They had a few deficiencies, bless you, and but they have worked on those and completed those and are doing well. So I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants continued full approval to the Arkansas State University BBA program until the year 2031. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Next was Arkansas State University B Practical Nurse Program approval. Same thing here. They have a great pass rate, guys. The BB program has 100% pass rate and doing good. Um, they had a combined site visit, with the associate degree program on February 26th too, with continued full approval. They had a couple deficiencies here and Ms. Smith, she's on it. So, I don't have any issues here. They're doing great. So I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants continued full approval to the Arkansas State University BBPN program until the year of 2031. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda was John Brown University Bachelor of Science in Nursing program approval. Same thing here. There was a site visit. No issues, a few deficiencies, nothing concerning. Let me check this just a second. They're actually doing very well. So yes, they didn't require, that's what I'm looking. Say that again, Brandy.
They did not require a site visit. They hold
Yes.
accreditation.
And their pass rates they're doing really well on their pass rates too. So I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants continued full approval to the John Brown University BSN program until the year 2031. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the University of Arkansas Distant Education Site Request. Trying to remember. What they are wanting to do is take their students and I'm glad they called Brandy, take their students to Rome, Italy to study abroad for a semester, which I think is fabulous. We all wanted to go. We decided, yes, we need a site visit. We asked if we could go. So, since it's a semester long, Brandy and I had discussed this and, it's something new to me too. And I learned, it's not a few weeks, it's a full semester that it requires board approval. So I think it's great. I think it's great for the students. University of Arkansas is doing wonderful with all their students up there. So I think it's a great thing.
Just because I'm curious, what will they be doing there? Are they nursing courses?
I'm assuming they are, yes.
Yes, it's their
Mhm.
community.
Yes,
It's their what? I'm
Their
sorry.
community course.
community, yes.
Cool.
Isn't that cool?
Paul, I need you.
Paul,
Please, sir.
Paul to the front. So I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing approves the use of the distant education site in Rome, Italy for the University of Arkansas Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to agenda number 5. These are new proposals. First one on the list is South Arkansas College Associate Degree Program. This college received a $1.5 million 4-year grant from the Department of Human Services through workforce expansion. So they're wanting to expand and do their BSN. The program director confirmed that this educator's considered, wait just a second. Okay, Brandy, remind me here.
They're an AD program.
They're an
wanting to
AD
start a
program and want a
traditional.
traditional, yes, program. Okay. So I think it's great that they got this grant and are putting it to good use. So I think they'll do really well down there. They need this in South Arkansas. So hopefully they will take it and do well.
And successful.
Yes, yes, their AD program is full. Mhm.
Or PN, they have a PN program, so they're wanting
Wanting
to
to do the
start
AD
a
program,
traditional
AD program, their PN program.
Oh,
they're
okay,
good.
sorry. Got that backwards. But their current program is
Doing good,
successful.
yes. Apologize for that, Ellen. I have a motion. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants initial approval to the South Arkansas College AD program. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the University of Arkansas at Rich Mountain Associate Degree Program approval. This one is the one I actually went with Brandy on. I will be doing some site visits with Brandy and got to enjoy this going and seeing their new program, their new classrooms that are being built. It's great. It's needed in that southwest eastern or southwest corner of the state. So I think this is great for them. They're wanting to start a new AD program, a bridge from LPN to, no, from, hang on, Brandy, hang on.
They're
Maybe.
part of RNet that offers the LPN to RN. They want to start a traditional
Traditional.
to capture those that don't qualify for the RNet.
In the RNAT program. Okay. Yes. That's the one I didn't get to underline and get to, so. There was no concerns about doing this from any of the committee members. So I have a motion I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants initial approval to the University of Arkansas at Rich Mountain AD program. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the list is the Arkansas Healthcare Association Practical Nursing Program, Fort Smith. In 2023, the Arkansas Healthcare Association launched a medication assistant program. Member facilities sought educational pathways that would allow MACs and certified nursing assistants to advance into nursing while recognizing their prior training and experience. In response, the Healthcare Association created a School of Nursing in 2024 to develop a practical nursing program designed to specifically for employees of member facility. So the program is structured to allow MACs to maintain full-time employment while pursuing their PN program. The pilot program in Jonesboro, Little Rock, and Rogers received the ASBN initial approval in January of 2025. The inaugural cohort began classes in June of 2025 on all three campuses. And I think as of today, we have 96% pass rate for that, which is phenomenal. I think is great. They're doing a great job. A site visit was conducted on May 22nd and found to be ready for student enrollment. The Healthcare Association intends to hire 2 full-time faculty in Fort Smith location. This is the new location that Brandy went and visited. They're doing great. There was no questions and everything, the committee approved and agreed with everything that they were doing. Okay, so I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing grants approval to the Arkansas Healthcare Association PN program to open a satellite campus in the Fort Smith Satellite Campus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Agenda item number 6. Okay. This is curriculum revisions. Ozarka College Practical Nursing Program. The Ozarka College was granted full approval in 1978, but they propose, the college proposes transitioning the Melbourne PN program to an 11-month curriculum, aligning with their other PN programs that are an 8-month program. One is in Ash Flat and one is in Mountain View campuses. They felt like that they need to be cohesive across the board. So taking the 11-month down to the 8-month, like their other ones, seem to be the,
I think we have
They're
to-
currently 18 months. They want to go to 11 months.
did I say, oh, I see 8. I see 8 there. No, it's 18 months. I don't see 8. It's 18 months to 11 months. Did I say 8? I apologize for that. So
That's right.
it's 18 months. Yeah, 8 months. Some of them are doing this. 18 months to an 11-month program. They also saw that their 18-month students were not as successful as their 11-month students. So they felt like maybe combining, making everything cohesive, that it may help with the pass rate for those that were in the 18-month program. But there was not any questions from the committee, so I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing approves the decrease in length of the Ozarka College Melbourne PM campus program from not 8 months, but 18 months to 11 months, following the same PM curriculum as the other campus locations. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna do this one pretty quick. This is the new Act 566 of the 2025 legislative session, where they had the 6 hours of history. Some of these institutions changed some of their curriculum, the hours. So they added Arkansas Rural Nursing Education Consortium, ARNEC, ADM program added the 6 hours, Arkansas State University Three Rivers AD program, University of Arkansas Community College at Morrilton AD program, University of Arkansas Cossatot AD program, and the University of Arkansas East Arkansas Community College AD program. Brandy, do you need to add anything to that, or is that okay? All right, I have a motion before the board that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing accept the curriculum changes to meet the requirements for requisite general education core courses from Act 566 of the 2025 legislative session for Arkansas Rural Nursing, ARNAC, AD program, Arkansas State University Three Rivers, University of Arkansas Community College at Morrilton AD program, University of Arkansas Cossatot AD program, and the University of Arkansas East Arkansas Community College AD program. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda was North Arkansas Community College Practical Nurse Program Curriculum Revision. The North Arkansas, they're requesting approval to move the high school program from the, what is, DT?
Don Tyson.
Don Tyson.
Don
Don
Tyson School of
Tyson Center.
Innovation.
The Don Tyson Center to the Washington County Satellite Campus. They felt like the students were driving too far, so they wanted to move it where they didn't have to commute so far. I have a motion before the board. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing accept the curriculum change, allowing the move of the Northwest Arkansas Community College High School PN program from the Don Tyson School of Innovation to the already board-approved satellite campus in Springdale. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Last one, guys. This is Tammy's. You need me to mine? Yes, please. This is the English proficiency exam score update. Thank you,
know,
Tammy.
Yeah, all of our internationally educated graduates have to apply as an international graduate and they have to meet criteria. At some point, I was telling Tabby, we need to probably do a session on
Yes.
internationals. But they have to have a CES report, which is a course by course evaluation report, and they also have to have an English proficiency exam and pass it with minimum scores. Well, there's been some new federal regulations that are trying to standardize all the English scores to make it consistent across the board. And so basically HRSA, the Health Resources and Service Administration, did a big research study on how we can make them all consistent. And so they proposed some scores. And so what we did today is present those scores and that we adopt those scores here as our scores as well. So,
And we adopted
and I can go
those.
into more detail if anybody asks questions.
Anybody have any questions on that? And we adopted the HRSA in the
Great.
committee.
There's a motion there though.
I have a motion. I move that the Arkansas State Board of Nursing makes changes to the existing English exam required scores to follow the Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, updated list of tests and scores for foreign healthcare workers dated May 12th, 2026, as recommended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think that's all.
Thank you, Tabby, and the Education Committee. Sounds like you guys had a lot of fun this morning.
Yes, it was a lot.
I know in a short turn of events, I got distracted and failed to make two very exciting announcements when we started. The first is that I would like to recognize and welcome our two new board members. We have Jason Wallace and Caitlin or Katie Rougeau joined us. They have both already just been really, really great. And we're so excited to have them join the team. And I think another reason I forgot to introduce them is because it feels like they've already kind of been around for a little while. They've been great. So we're really excited to have them. And then the second very exciting announcement is we'd like to congratulate our very own Tabitha, Mrs. Tabby Lancaster, on her new position teaching the PN program. Of course, we're extremely proud of her, and we are really excited to finally have an educator, official educator, full-time on the board. So congratulations to Katie, Jason, and Tabby.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And with that, we will turn it over to Mrs. Gonzalez to give us an update on the practice committee.
Student Practice Committee. So we have been working on these position statements probably more than anything. So we worked on, I will say Shannon worked very hard on 21-1, which is the role of the licensed nurse in the practice of aesthetics. So we've got a good draft going, and today we worked over that to kind of start on it. So Shannon, can we email what updates we had to everybody, just kind of the basic revisions that we talked about today to everybody? What we,
They got the draft we looked at today in your board book. You did get the changes that were already suggested, but there are more changes coming. And so that will go through the committee. We plan to meet late July, early August as an extra practice committee meeting to try to get the finalized versions done so it can be approved in September.
I don't know, Cassie, too, did you want to bring up those recommended changes that y'all discussed?
Yeah.
Just kind of bullet point to see if there's any discussion from
yes, I can.
the full board.
I've got a lot of paper. Okay, so if you have that position statement pulled up. So one thing that Shannon did is started with definitions. I think there's a lot of confusion on dispensing versus administration, this good faith exam. So trying to make sure that we understand that correctly. The standing orders versus a standing protocol, we're going to go back in and kind of tweak some of those things as well too. And so So just trying to re-break down these things so that it's a very clear, like we're very black and white on what can be done and what can be delegated or not delegated. So some of the changes that we're looking at adding is like on the exam, kind of putting that it's like a good faith exam, that it needs to be done annually at a minimum, but anytime that the patient's status would change or the treatment plan would change, they would have to be reevaluated by a person who has prescriptive authority. So no different if I'm going in for Botox or filler, some common aesthetic procedures, or you're showing that to a provider that is changing your blood pressure medicine. So that has to be initiated by someone who has prescriptive authority.
Mentioned ranges not maybe being appropriate.
Hey, Katie, can you pull your mic down?
Shannon mentioned ranges not being appropriate. How do we, if you have a standing order or a good faith exam, how do you want that appropriate, or what's the appropriate way to do that? Because I feel like the only way for me, especially in my practice, I mean, you almost have to have ranges if you're going to have a standing order. It's constantly changing, or if you're getting touch-ups or
That piece of it.
anything.
And I think we can go back to, that's what I was just looking at a while ago. Again, was kind of going back to like some of the recommended dosing, like ranges specifically for like Botox for the frontalis or those kind of things. I think we probably, it's kind of a double-edged sword with these position statements. Like we don't want to get too into the weeds, but yet we want to help people kind of know what is good or not. We don't want it to be a good faith exam that really doesn't actually examine the patient and take into specifics. Like we don't want it to be a blanket document on
Okay.
that piece of it. I think would be.
I think ultimately, if the ranges are what's appropriate to get the look the person is desiring, then that's fine. It just needs to be documented like a individualized treatment plan that could include 15 to 30 units of whatever it is. And then after the procedure, you document you gave 17 units and where you gave it. And so I think ranges aren't ideal, but if that's the standard because of you're trying to get a certain look, then I think it can work out appropriately and still follow rule and standards of medical care.
On the protocol, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
Standing order.
Or in the treatment, in the plan that the provider sets for the patient. Like if ranges are appropriate, that's fine. And then the after visit procedure documentation by the injector, whomever's doing it, should document how much they used and where.
I think
Standing order, like one thing we talked about on a different thing that Cassie's going to touch on is whether or not a standing order was appropriate. And I mean, do we all agree that a standing order is appropriate for this? Is that what makes the most sense? I don't know.
I think we kind of hash back out that there's like policy and procedure that needs to be like this standing policies of doing stuff, and that it needs to be addressed annually in the clinic first, whoever's the medical director or whoever's the nurse, physician, any of that. But then you can have these template standing orders, but then they have to go back in and be tweaked or individualized per the patient, So like I could have a pre-printed form that per se I use, like I was just pulling up some examples a while ago. I could have that form, but yet when I assess Allie, my dosing is going to be different than Tabby.
Is that actually a standing or like to me, if I'm the nurse, I don't know that I would consider, like when I think of standing order, I think that I automatically can do 50 units of Botox, and there's a standing order for that regardless of whether it's Cassie or Tabby.
I think taking out the word standing orders and making it policies and procedures or protocol is going to clear that up, because I have a policy and procedure book, and I think that that's probably what the standing order goes by.
Or template.
I think that taking out the word standing order, and then the GFE being your treatment plan.
Or further defining.
What
That is.
Ultimately, you have to have individualized treatment plan for the patient for each procedure.
But I think that when I read standing order, I think it takes away from that individualized treatment plan.
So I
Which
think-
we have some wording we're putting in there.
Yeah, so I think,
Yeah.
if we could recommend, my recommendation would be to change the language of standing order, because I think that's confusing even to me.
Yeah.
And
that's
so whatever the language we could propose there.
Yeah, because I think that is the confusing piece because you have your policy and procedure that need to be reviewed just kind of annually for just your clinic in general, but then also you have this treatment plan that you're utilizing based on the patient specific, but then also you're pulling policy and procedure in that because your clinic we don't do certain things in our clinic because I don't think that's appropriate for the location of our services versus if I was in a plastic surgery clinic, I might be doing different treatments differently. So having those two different things but that patient specific treatment plan obviously needs to be reviewed at least annually, but that could be up to, if something happened totally different with a patient, they come back in 2 weeks and we had an adverse event or we had something, then I need to be called. If I'm a nurse injecting underneath someone else's license and I don't have the ability to prescribe, I need to be notifying that prescriber and readjusting that plan.
That makes sense.
Does that clear that? Okay. So, and then one thing that we kind of went back over is like adding the word therapeutic device into things because, like fillers are not truly like a legend medication. And so making sure that we cover that and then kind of emergency management as well too. So hopefully when someone is looking at this and thinking, I am doing aesthetics, or maybe I want to do aesthetics, that they can look and say, okay, well, in the setting that I'm going to be at, do I really have all these emergency management treatment plans? Not just, I'm going to call 911 if something happens. So do I have, Benadryl or an EpiPen, basic things, oxygen? So am I certified in CPR? Like basic things that you're still given a medication or you're doing a treatment that is a medical treatment, and what is my options for that? So, that is some of our bigger pieces of it. And then just documentation. And Shannon put quite a few links. One thing that we talked about doing too, which wouldn't necessarily be included in the position statement, but kind of like on the nurse practitioner, like when we're doing a collaborative physician agreement, Shannon has given us like some examples of things. So kind of working through maybe trying to find like some basic templates of documentation. Like this is an example of what your documentation should look like. We're not telling you how to treat or how
Or
to
that you have to
document.
use it.
Yes, but
If you want to use it, it's here, but you don't have to.
yeah, here's some just good examples versus just drawing stick figures and there not being good documentation. So remember, okay, this is a medication. And then on the IV hydration, oh, I'm sorry. Mhm.
Like now, because I kind of got a little confused about Botox filler versus the IV hydration. Now, when someone is doing Botox and filler, do we feel like the provider, do the rules and regs say that the physician or the provider is to be aware annually or more often?
So I think
Are we?
so I think technically it is, if you're reading the Nurse Practice Act, if I'm prescribing a medication, it would be no different than me sending in an antibiotic or sending in lisinopril. Like I need to have an exam with that patient, have some kind of reasoning to be treating. So I think, when you follow the Nurse Practice Act, like you should be still following these basic rules, even though maybe it doesn't explicitly say in the position statement that we have, it does, I think, but like we're trying to make it a little more clear that remember, we are still giving a medication and we're in a healthcare setting. So we need
The
to
rules require a established patient-provider relationship, regardless of the care they're providing. The Medical Practices Act says the same thing. And so I think somewhere it's forgotten that cosmetic procedures are still medical care, healthcare. And so they're not doing that piece because now it's for funsies or whatever. But it's still expected to have an appropriate provider relationship, appropriate documentation and medical history, a prescription for said medications or therapeutic devices.
I was under the impression maybe we thought that wasn't.
It's not
No,
taking place.
Yeah, it's not taking
there, but they need to be doing it. And so making them understand better that they need to do it, just got to document is the purpose.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there are people who do it absolutely right. And then I think there's people who, like Shannon has been with, that are just choosing to like ignore it and think like, well, it's just a med spa situation. I don't have to really follow these rules, and that doesn't count. So, and then there's also people kind of to this IV hydration piece of it. Some of this has gotten a lot. I mean, it's kind of been the Wild Wild West, but then we add in this situation in Texas, which I'll remind everybody that was not a nurse who infused this IV that ultimately led to the death
TPN
of a patient. She was non-licensed. Yeah. So, and
Mhm.
yes. Yeah. So
They
you
have
know,
since changed a lot of their rules though.
They
yeah.
have a law now, so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's a law related to it.
Yeah. So, there are people who are going to do things obviously illegally despite what the rules are or despite what their capacity is. And so we can just do the best we can with our people. And so the 26.1 is the role of licensed nurse in the practice of IV hydration. Same thing, we're going to start kind of off with some definitions that kind of framework this. And then kind of going back to that same clarifying like a standing protocol versus policy and procedures, orders, that obviously we are giving IV fluids. And this is in the absence, this is not in the setting of like a traditional hospital or clinic that would just be giving IV fluids. Like that doesn't fall into this, okay? And then so kind of who can do that with the scope of practice, and then the assessments that are required for that and the delegation. So you still have to follow the rules of who you can delegate to. And then once again, we kind of want to highlight the emergency preparedness of this as well too, that basic standards and educational competencies are required. And then some safety pieces of this as well. If there's an emergency, what are we doing with that? So.
Yeah, we're gonna call an extra practice committee meeting like late July, early August, and then hopefully get some finalized drafts approved. So then you all can vote on them at the September meeting and we can get those. Actually, we'll have to have a public comment period as well on those after they're approved, but we can get the ball rolling on those later this year.
Yeah, and if there's something you guys come across that you see an article or you see something, let us know so we can add that in. Or if you see a statement that, like Lisa, I think found a statement from Mississippi that kind of clarified like a wording for us. So if you can find any of that you help, we would be more than glad to take any of that into it. So we had nothing to vote on, so. We hope.
Shannon, thank you for all your work on that. I know that took a lot of time.
It was a
to-
joint effort. I won't take all the credit, but
We'll thank
we
everybody.
worked together, the leaders, the nurses and leadership. So yeah, it was
Really
awesome.
helpful
Thanks.
and informative.
I will say on enforcement, at least they gave us a report. We're getting cases closed faster, and we are approved for 2
New investigators, full-time
man,
staff.
those words were not coming. So
I
two
got you,
investigators
girl.
in July.
Mr. Petty, if you want to give us an update on your committee, finance. Words escape.
We're all getting words today. All right. Sure. Oh, and my motions today, we actually will have to have a second on because I was the first and only in my meeting. So, only committee meeting, so member. So we had a few out today. But, so Keisha said she would second, so we'll just get signatures on that here in just a second. But, so first we did look at a couple of policies today, review. There's not really any changes that need to be made. One was about the purchasing of rosters that people can do, like their mailing addresses. There weren't any changes on that. And the other was about the background checks. We don't actually take those fees in anymore. They go straight to state police and how that's processed. And so that policy we looked at as well, and there's no change needed on it. So nothing to vote on there. We also looked at the FY27 annual operations plan. So this is just something that's done each year, kind of gives us it's how we report out what our estimated expenses are going to be for the board for that upcoming fiscal year, which will start in July, and that we have sufficient funding to provide and meet those expenses. And so we submit that to ADH, and we sent that a few weeks ago over to ADH on behalf of the board. And so Darla's got all the work done. It did look good. The only changes in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we requested is we had to request all positions the same as FY26 with the exception of allocations for the addition of 3 new positions. 2 of them are the ones we just talked about with the RN investigators, and I believe it's APRN position as well. So those are things that we will add to our allocation for FY27. And I believe those positions hopefully will be fully approved and be able to post in July. So they won't be filled, but can post in July. And then we also had to move around for our new friends, for our new board members. We had to move around some allocation for those, because we'll have more stipend than we had originally. So it's not a ton of money, but moving that, we were able to pull it from two allocations that we don't fully or had not fully utilized for FY26. So we're able to kind of just shift allocation over to increase that. So those were the only changes that we had requested for that. So with that, I'll make the motion that I move that the ADH Arkansas State Board of Nursing approve the FY27 annual operations plan submitted on April 22nd, 2026 by ASBN to the Arkansas Department of Health Budget Department. All right, all in favor? Look, no, but Dale said yes. Okay. Next, I don't know if anyone had time to read, we do what's called a controlled self-assessment. It's called a CSA. If you were so privy, on page 161, 579 in your board book is the CSA for the year. But it basically looks at, assess all of our risk as a board and evaluates kind of how we control that risk and how we mitigate that risk. They evaluated a total of 414 risks. So that's why there's so many pages. And a lot of those are kind of things that have stayed the same. There were a few changes to positions who cover certain things if something changes. But those things were all there. And that was also submitted to ADH, but we didn't have any significant risk or anything that we didn't basically have a plan for. So on that, I'll move that the ADH Arkansas State Board of Nursing approve the 2026 control self-assessment for ADH Arkansas State Board of Nursing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I just have one more to vote on. So every year, or for the last 10 years, I think, of its existence, we have sponsored since 2017 the Stop Overdose Summit that is done. It's not just a nursing summit. It's kind of a statewide thing that is done. We've helped to sponsor that. That sponsorship, the event cost about $150,000. We've sponsored $5,000 a year. Their costs have gone up. They've asked us to up our participation. I think it's something that's very important. We have the funds to do it. So they've requested that we up our sponsorship to $7,500 if possible this year. We, or I, as a committee, had recommended that we do that. So if y'all have any questions about that or anything, it's the one that's usually held in Hot Springs. I got to go to it last year. Yeah, and it's in Fort Smith this year. So went to it briefly in Hot Springs last year. It's it's really informative. There's people from all kinds of different areas. Like I said, it's not nursing. It's everybody. There's some law enforcement, first aid, all kinds of people. So it was a neat thing. So with that, I'll move that the ADH Arkansas State Board of Nursing approve sponsorship of $7,500 for the 2026 Stop Overdose Summit to be held November the 17th at Fort Smith Convention Center. All in favor? All right. The only other thing that we did, let me get to that. Sorry, I meant to have it pulled up. And if you guys wanted to look, I know we've had some discussions, and for our new board members, a new requirement of us this year as being part of ADH is we pay a 10% fee of all of our revenues now go to Arkansas Department of Health. So that for us is a significant amount of money. We project most years that'll be about $400,000. So far this year we've paid in, and we expect another payment before the end of the year. But so far we paid in $303,000 and change to ADH for some of the combined services that we have is the reasoning for that. You will hear me call it the tithe, by the way, because it's 10%. We have, because of that, that's an extra 10% off of our revenue. While our balances have been healthy, we've got a new pay scale. There's several factors that are going to increase our expenses, and 10% is a chunk. And so we were trying to keep a close eye on fund balances. Darla, am I wrong? The general rule is for especially state government or organizations like ours, you want to try to have 2 times your annual budget available in funds. We've been able to do that. We stay around a $4 million budget, and we have about $8 million in funds. That's kind of how we've floated for the last 2.5 years that I've been here. So we were a little leery that our fund balance would drop to a point where we may start having to have some decisions. Do we have to increase fees? Do we have to, do that kind of thing? So Darla has been keeping a close eye on that, and we looked at our fund balance review today. We're going to take another look at it because we've got some end of the year expenses that haven't quite hit yet that will probably bring it down a little bit. But, we're in a pretty good place right now. Our fund balance as of 4/30 was 8.4 million and change. So we're actually higher than we kind of expected to be. But our revenues have also been on the up. We've got a higher number of nurses. We've had a higher number of endorsements coming through. That has increased throughout that time. And so it's kind of made up some of that difference. I don't know that eventually, after we watch this for next year, if we don't need to make a slight change to fees. It has been 9 or 10 years since there has been an increase. And we could do some changes to that structure. We submitted our fees as part of our operations plan for FY27, which starts July 1. So we wouldn't change them for there. But if we wanted to look for FY28, we're going to take a closer look in January at kind of where we are and if that's something that needs to come up, especially not that it affects our bottom line, but it does affect our new grads. We also will possibly have an increased NCLEX fee. So can we increase in some places and give our new grads some help is something we need to probably try to look at. But right now, I don't think there's anything we need to do with that. Like I said, fund balances look good, look strong. And our revenues are pretty strong as well. So when we all kind of started in 23, was that? Seems a long time ago.
Yeah.
24. We have increased steadily every year in revenues. So that's kind of making up for our tithe.
So on that page 582, where you kind of break down the fee changes, but so on the max, so they're going to be so they're not listed on there, and then this new dialysis
Tech.
So that down there, those fee changes were the last time they made changes, and max and dialysis did not exist then.
Okay.
Further up in the document, when you on the operations plan, the AOP part, there is about 4 or 5 pages in. There's a list of all of our current fees. The only thing we had to take off was the state police fee, which probably we could have taken off years ago because I don't think we've done that in a while. That was the only change we did, but all of the current fees are listed there. This was just kind of giving us a snapshot picture of last time we had an increase of fees was in 2019, I believe it looks like. And that was the changes that we made at that point. But the main fee changes that happened were in 7/1/26, where we went from APRN went up $25 to $65. RN went up 25 to 100. So that was the last true renewal change that we've had. Some of those other fees that were changed in 2019 are less used fees, like if you wanted to retire your license, it costs, what that cost, and a copy of the annual report, what that costs. So those type of fees, they changed in 2019, but the reason those aren't listed is because when they made that change in 2016, I don't think those things existed. We didn't have max and we didn't have dialysis techs, but they are listed in that fee structure. I think it's on
153 maybe.
Yeah, 153. That's got all of our current fees. And those will be the fees for FY 27. Anything, what you say, what you're looking for?
Oh, dialysis, I don't think, if I correct, the dialysis is not listed on there because we don't have that even approved yet, right? So that's not on there. But my one thought is like we've added more people. So that makes our number, to me, it makes it look a little fluffy, but yet we're adding more people that we're gonna have to
Right.
regulate too. So I feel like
So I
we're maybe
think-
coming back adding for.
Just in transparency, if we went and asked for a fee increase right now, our fund balance is healthy enough. We can't really say we're decreasing or we need the funds right now. But I think after we look at next year, and one, we've got the increased positions, the matching is going to be more next year because our insurance and all that's going up next year. You've got to look at, we'll have the full year of the 10% fee. You've got, I mean, there's several things coming up that will affect that bottom line. And I think we could do a two-step maybe next year in helping our new grads and some of our maybe lower paying professions that are licensed, like your max, maybe LPNs, things like that. We could help some of that while doing a small increase somewhere else, make up some of that lost revenue and keep that fund balance healthy that way. But right now, what we were suggesting is it's almost too healthy to ask for it
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like we're kind of maybe we look a little overinflated, but next year.
But also our costs are going up. So
Yeah.
that fund balance is gonna, eventually come down. While our revenues have gone up, so have our costs. So yeah, it's kind of washing right now, but eventually it's gonna catch up to us when you're taking in 10% less.
One thing I also was talking to Philip about is that I think, to be aligned with our strategic plan and kind of some of our initiatives, I think it'll be good to talk about some of the proposed rate changes that Philip has worked on creating actually go down for everyone under an RN. And so as we're going up on NCLEX fees, we could also propose, the decrease in some of those other renewal fees. I think it'll mean a lot to nurses. It'll just be good, optics.
Yeah.
Something for y'all to consider. Philip's worked really hard, and I think he'll have a lot of options for you guys to review and consider.
Yeah, and that'll be something that about this time next year is when we would, or a little probably before, probably in March or April of next year, we'll need to really start proposing that if we're going to make a change. Because it'll have to get approved and go through all the things. So if we're going to make that change, that's why I want us to talk about it at our January meeting, and kind of look at that closer, see exactly where we are. And then we can propose at that time that if we're going to make a fee change, and then Darla and I or whoever can start looking at what do we actually want to change so we can propose it to get it in time for our AOP and the biennial budget and all that fun stuff for FY 28. That sounds weird to say out loud. 28 sounds a long way away, but FY 28 would be next July 1. So it would go in, and really the things with NCLEX fee and all that, while we may, it's going to be voted on in August, will go into effect in February of 27. So this would follow it in July of 27, if we decided or if we saw a need to do that. Sound like fun? Nothing to vote on there, just a lot of words.
Any questions? Great. Okay, last but certainly not least, Mrs. Harmon, if you can give us an administrative update.
Yes, we went over the.
Can you pull one of those mics?
Yeah. The committee went over the January 7th, 2026 minutes. Those were approved. We reviewed the purpose of the committee. There were no revisions needed to the policy review. Ashley talked a little bit about the board strategic planning meeting. She's got some ideas for a questionnaire. Were you wanting to discuss that here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay. So we got really good detailed notes back from the facilitator from our strategic planning session. And she kind of did like a thematic analysis more than any of like like a strategic plan look at it. So what I am planning on doing is putting those themes, kind of really defining them as she did, sending that out in a survey to you guys and letting you kind of rank how important you think those are. And then from that, then start building this strategic plan and bring you guys more of a product rather than just themes. What do y'all think? But kind of look to get some guidance from you as a group of what do we find to be the most important. So I'll be sending those out and hopefully can bring some things back in July to you guys.
And then we adjourn the meeting. That was it. Motions.
Great. And okay, staff reports? Or it's 2:00. I don't know. Do we need to do is the respondent's not here for the 2:00 hearing? So is there a reason that we need to start it right at 2, or can we finish some business and then?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So I wanted to give a quick update on our rules status, and I'll let David chime in if I'm misrepresenting this, but we presented them to the and I'm forgetting my words. Where did we go? Public Health, yes. We went to the Public Health Committee, presented our rules changes, which is a lot. And there were really no comments and it passed through them. We will go to the Rules Committee on June 15th, correct? On June 15th and present them then with approval at the Rules Committee. I believe that they go back to the governor's office for final approval. Once that happens, then the rules changes will be in effect, and that is when we can bring on the dialysis techs. That's kind of the biggest thing that we're waiting on, is we have to have those rules in place for us to be able to start that. But Tammy and her team have been working really hard to get that application ready to go live as soon as we get approval on those, so that we can start getting those dialysis techs registered. Okay.
Become effective.
We-
Once they're filed, then they're
Then they're
good.
in there. Okay.
Their current law, so.
So we are hoping, planning to have those in effect by July, so that we can start with the new fiscal year and bring on our dialysis techs. So that's our update on that. And then David with the case appeals updates.
I can't remember if we've had any that we haven't gotten any unfavorable decisions. I don't think we've had any new decisions since the last report, but we have 2 that are currently on appeal. One respondent is Teresa Wyam, and she's representing herself, and we have a hearing on Monday afternoon next week. Both briefs have been filed, and we have a hearing in Saline County. Her issue was she tested positive for fentanyl, and her evaluation report she claimed was incorrect. And so that's what she's appealing about. But Arkansas law says if the board has any substantial evidence to support their decision, then it won't be overturned. And my argument on the appeal is that the positive test for fentanyl is plenty substantial evidence for the putting her on 1-year probation. So I don't know if Judge Houston will agree or not, but I think the worst outcome would be he would send it back for you to consider, to reconsider without that report, that evaluation being part of the evidence. The other one is Michelle Harper, and both parties have filed briefs on those. I think our brief was due a week ago Friday, and we have a hearing. Jennifer probably remembers, I think it's the week after next in Pulaski County, and her issue was she a letter of reprimand for a Class A misdemeanor crime. She was the one who had attacked someone else with a bottle and caused some injuries, and she's appealed that, and it's the same argument that we had in a previous appeal with Emily Best, and we have a good Arkansas Court of Appeals opinion that said no, that the board can issue discipline letters of reprimand for someone being guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. And so we'll see how the court rules, the circuit court rules on that, but I feel a lot better about that case than the other case. There's a possibility we may have to reconsider it, so.
Thank you. Good luck. Any other business?
I would like to make a comment.
Sure.
You know, in this education committee, you realize there's so much that goes into it. And Brandy, I want to thank you for keeping me straight and doing the hard work you and Tammy both do. I mean, there's a lot in that. And the more just doing the site visit with you, I'm realizing how much work goes into that. And it is a lot, you know, when you sit in here and you go through, you know, the meetings this morning and you look at it, it's a lot. And I just want to recognize you today for your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Do you guys want to take a quick 5-minute break?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can have 7 minutes, Veronica,
Okay.
and
Okay, bye.
then we will start back. Good afternoon. We will now convene the hearing. We are before the Arkansas State Board of Nursing in the matter of Amanda Elaine Hernandez Van Tassel, NCSBN ID 2390863 and LPN license number 22971. It is 2:16 PM and it is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. The hearing is being held in the offices of the Arkansas State Board of Nursing. I would like the record to reflect that the respondent is not present. Is the state represented by counsel today?
Yes, David Dawson.
And Mr. Dawson, I will go ahead and let you, if you don't mind, can the court reporter swear in all of our witnesses?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And Mr. Dawson, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, just because this is a little bit different on this one, so I'll try to explain. The evidence is going to show that the respondent pled guilty to and was found guilty of possession of controlled substance, Schedule 1 or 2, Class D felony, which is a bar under Arkansas Code Annotated 17-103. It's a bar to holding a professional license. And so this hearing is scheduled today to give the respondent an opportunity to request a waiver. And there's also some evidence going to be presented regarding issues with respondents' nursing practice while working at Greystone Nursing and Rehab. But normally what the procedure is, if someone requests a waiver and the waiver is not granted, then their license is revoked. We have not been able to actually get actual service on the respondent. They have disappeared, haven't kept their contact information up to date, which is required by rule. But because we don't actually have service, we tried process server, we tried numerous attempts. I would suggest, at the end of the hearing, suggest that because of the bar statute, that instead of denying the waiver and thus revoking the license, that you suspend the license and until she, in future, respondent can request reinstatement, and at that time, a hearing would be scheduled to consider a waiver request. And also because of the practice issues, and if you think there may be some probation that needs to be part of any reinstatement, that can also be considered at the time that reinstatement is applied for. Does that make sense? I hope I'm.
Does, but Mr. Dawson, per your recommendation, if we were to suspend it, what would we be suspending it until?
Until she applied for reinstatement.
Okay, so
And-
just
and she'd
suspend the
have to
license,
appear before
and
the-
then she would have the opportunity to apply for reinstatement.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
If we don't give a waiver, then the license is automatically revoked. So there's
Right.
nothing to reinstate or suspend at that point, right?
Well, you
Right, but-
can't reinstate a revoked license,
Right.
correct?
Correct. And the reason that I don't want that to happen is because I think an appeals court, if she appealed and said, I didn't know about my opportunity to request a waiver because I didn't get
Because we have
actual,
no confirmation.
I
that
didn't
you
get
have
actual
received
service of the hearing.
The notice that there was a hearing.
Yeah, an appeals court would likely overturn that and make us, and send it back anyway. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dawson. With that, you can go ahead and call your first witness.
All right. Can I start, since it's a little different now with Mr. Moulton, to go ahead and just enter all my exhibits at one time?
Yes, thank you
Um,
for keeping us straight.
Offer as the board's exhibits, 6 exhibits. Number 1 is the order and notice for hearing. Number 2, the Arkansas Nurse Practice Act. Number 3, the rules of the Arkansas State Board of Nursing. Number 4, the Postal Service reports regarding the attempts to serve respondent, the order and notice of hearing. Number 5, Jamie Turpin's investigation report. Number 6, Udell Ward's hearing report. And I offer those into evidence as exhibits 1 through 6.
Yes, sir. We'll allow that. And now you may call your first witness.
All right, I call investigator Jamie Turpin. Ms. Turpin, would you introduce yourself and tell what you do for the board?
Hi, I'm Jamie Turpin. I'm a pharmacist investigator. I investigate complaints that have been sent to Arkansas Department of Health Pharmacy Services at the behest of the board.
And were you assigned investigation to conduct in this matter?
Yes, sir.
And did you produce a report outlining the finding of your investigation and provide that to the board staff?
Yes, I did.
Is that dated January 6th, 2026?
Yes.
And I think that's exhibit number 5. What was the cost of your investigation?
$587.50.
Okay, let's go through the report. What did the complaint state?
This investigation was prompted by a complaint submitted to the Arkansas State Board of Nursing on December 8th, 2024, anonymously. The complaint alleges respondent was arrested on April 3rd, 2024 for possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of controlled substance, scheduled 1-2, specifically meth and cocaine less than 2 grams, and again for failure to appear on a felony on November 4th, 2024. The complaint notes multiple reports made to the DON at Greystone about missing narcotics, and cognitive residents have made reports about receiving the wrong medications and or not receiving their medications at all.
Okay, what did you determine about the issue regarding the arrest for possession of controlled substances?
The North Little Rock Police Department incident number 2024-025-494, and I obtained a case summary, which were included in the documents. The respondent is indicated as offender number 1, and the offenses listed in the report include possession of a controlled substance and drug paraphernalia. A narrative from the reporting officer, Anthony S. Parsons, indicates in part on April 3rd, 2024, at approximately 15:02, FTO Lawrence and I responded to the Lone Oak Sheriff's Office that was serving a warrant. Upon arrival, the Lone Oak Sheriff's deputy, David Dillon, had responded in handcuffs and stated that she had consented verbally to search her purse. Deputy Dillon located a brown MK handbag inside of the purse. Inside of the handbag was a clear plastic bag of methamphetamine, approximately 0.6 grams, and a clear glass pipe with white crystalline substance in the tube and burnt out brown crystalline substance in the bottom. Because it was North Little Rock's jurisdiction, FTO Lawrence and I made the arrest and transported a respondent to the Pulaski County Regional Detention Facility. It was later found out that in the summary report, the Lone Oak County Deputy DEA FTO David Dillon was serving a federal arrest warrant on a Trinidad Serato. FTO Dillon arrested Mr. Serato on a federal arrest warrant, and contact was made with respondent who was with Mr. Serato at the time.
And what was the outcome of those charges?
On November 19th of 2024, the respondent appeared before the Circuit Court of Pulaski County, Arkansas, the 6th Judicial District, 3rd Division, for case 2024-3511, charged with the following offenses with the offense date of April 3rd of 2024. Possession of a controlled substance, Schedule 2 or 3, and drug paraphernalia. The respondent voluntarily, intelligently, and knowingly entered a negotiated plea of guilty for possession of a controlled substance, Schedule 1 or 2, a Class D felony. The respondent was sentenced to 36 months of probation, $300 fine, plus court costs, random drug screening, drug treatment as needed, and the driver's license suspension with work permit. The second offense of drug paraphernalia was nolle prost.
And is attachment page 14 the sentencing order from the court where there was actually a finding of guilt entered?
Let me check on that for you. Make sure it's the right attachment number. That is correct. Attachment number 14 is the start of the sentencing order, and it should go through a couple of pages.
Okay. Now, Also, the complaint stated issues regarding employment at Greystone Nursing and Rehab. Did you obtain employment history and information?
Yes, I
from
did.
Greystone? Would you go through what you found out there, please?
On April 17th, 2024, the respondent was hired. On June 27th, 2024, the respondent received a disciplinary warning, notice for absence without excuse, chronic absence, chronic lateness, and leaving the workplace without permission. This was a first warning, and the action was to report to the supervisor's office for conference. Then on January 1st, 2025, respondent received one-on-one education, noting when the department head or treatment nurse is not in the building, it is the responsibility of the nurse on duty to make sure all meds and treatment are complete. On January 2nd, 2025, respondent received a one-on-one education on the topic of processing orders in a timely fashion. On January 8th, 2025, respondent received a disciplinary warning, notice for failure to complete duty. This was a first warning. On August 31st, 2025, the respondent received a grievance by a resident's family member alleging the respondent failed to process orders, document change in condition, collect UA, and make incoming nurses aware of new orders. A second grievance was submitted on the same date by another resident's family member alleging respondent failed to process orders and document properly. On September 2nd, 2025, respondent received one-on-one education on the topic of order processing and communication. Then on September 18th, 2025, respondent was terminated for theft from coworkers, never showed up to explain.
Okay, and did you review some medical records yourself that the facility provided for you?
Yes, I did.
And if you could summarize what you found in your review.
I reviewed charts for 10 patients from August 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2025 from Greystone Nursing and Rehabilitation. In summary, on August 18th, 2025 at 2024, respondent retrieved one tablet of tramadol 50 milligrams for patient MB. And the medication administration record, or MAR, noted respondent administered the medication at 22:23 to patient MB. This is a 2-hour difference from medication retrieval to medication administration. On August 20th, 2025 at 21:26, respondent retrieved one tablet of tramadol, 50 milligrams, for patient MB, and the MAR noted respondent administered the medication at 19:25. The documented administration time is 1 hour prior to retrieval. On August 21st, 2025 at 19:03, respondent retrieved one tablet of hydrocodone acetaminophen, 5/3/25, for patient CH. The MAR noted the respondent administered the medication at 22:35 to patient CH, a 3-hour difference from medication retrieval to administration. On August 22nd, 2025, respondent retrieved one tablet of tramadol, 50 milligrams, for patient MB, without a time noted when retrieved. The controlled substance log appears to have this line marked through. However, the balance on hand decreased by 1. Documentation of administration or wastage was not located in the MAR. On August 27th, 2025 at 1700, respondent retrieved one tablet of tramadol 50 milligrams for patient MB, and the MAR noted respondent administered the medication at 2014 to patient MB, a 3-hour difference from medication retrieval to administration. And on August 29th, 2025 at 1706, respondent retrieved one tablet of tramadol 50 milligrams for patient MB. Documentation of administration or wastage was not located in the MAR. A total of 100 milligrams of tramadol is unaccounted for.
Thank you. Did you have, or were you able to contact and communicate with the respondent?
No. On December 15th, 2025, I attempted to contact the respondent to discuss the allegations via telephone, which was no longer in service. This would be the phone number provided by the Arkansas Board of Nursing. I also emailed the respondent that same day. On December 16th, I sent a letter certified to the address on file with the Arkansas State Board of Nursing. At the time, the USPS tracking notice left no authorized recipient available. I pulled that December 20th of 2025, and as of this report, the respondent has not responded to the email or the certified letter.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Board members, do you all have any questions for the witness?
So she was to comply with so the court's orders of like alcohol or drug testing and that, do we know if she ever made any contact with them, or since no one else has been able to make contact with her?
I don't know.
Okay.
Any additional questions for this witness? Okay, great. Mr. Dawson, do you have additional witnesses to call at this time?
Yes, I called Chief Investigator Udell Ward.
Udell Ward, Arkansas State Board of Nursing Chief Investigator.
Would you please go through the respondent's license history?
Yes, sir. Amanda Elaine Hernandez Van Tassel. She graduated in August 4th of 2019 from the San Joaquin Valley College in Bakersfield, California, with a certificate PN. She was issued California VNPN license number 709740, was issued by exam February 12th, 2020, and it expired July 31st of 2023. She was also issued Arkansas LPN license 222971. It was issued by endorsement July 25th, 2023, and it expires June 30th of 2026. She has no discipline on file with the board, and there's no other license or discipline history reported in nurses.
Okay, thank you. Was an order of notice for today's hearing and a letter 3 weeks before that, notice of today's hearing mailed to the respondent at the last known address we have on file with the board?
Yes, sir.
And did we also do a skip trace and get an alternate address that we used and attempted to contact the respondent?
Yes, sir.
And did the staff also use a process server to attempt to get service on the respondent?
Yes, sir.
And were any of those attempts successful in giving the order and notice, actually giving it to the respondent?
No, sir.
Is the respondent responsible pursuant to the board's rules of keeping her current contact information current with the board?
Yes, sir.
And has it appeared that she's failed to do that?
Yes, sir.
Did you, after receive a copy of Ms. Turpin's investigation report?
I'm sorry.
Did you receive a copy of Ms. Turpin's investigation
Oh,
report?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And did you produce your own report, hearing report to be used today to provide information about the attempts to communicate with respondent?
Yes, sir.
And is that dated May 13th, 2026?
Yes, sir.
I think that's been marked as exhibit number 6. Once again, on the crime that respondent was found guilty of, would you tell us again what that crime was and then confirm whether or not that is a conviction listed under Arkansas Code annotated 173102 that's a bar to holding licensure?
Yes, sir. If you refer to attachments 1 through 5, on November 19th, 2024, respondent entered a negotiated plea of guilty to Arkansas Code annotated 564419B1A, possession of controlled substance, Schedule 1 or 2, which is a Class D felony in the Circuit Court of Pulaski County, Arkansas, case number 60CR24-355. Respondent was found guilty and sentenced to 36 months of probation and received 10 days, jail time with credit served. And she was ordered to make a payment of $445 in fines and costs. She's also subject to random drug screening, drug treatment as needed, and driver's license suspension. And the additional charge of drug paraphernalia, the Class A misdemeanor, was null pros. If you refer to attachments 6 through 13.
Well, instead of reading all it, I think we can just shorten it.
Yes, sir.
Is that conviction for the Class D felony of possession of controlled substance, is that considered a bar to licensure pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated 17-3-102?
Yes, sir.
And did you attempt to contact the respondent to inform her of that fact and inform her about the statute's provision about the fact that she could request a waiver of that
Yes, sir.
bar?
Yes, sir.
And were you successful in communicating with respondent?
No, sir.
And I think the rest of your report kind of outlines you've attempted quite a few times to get hold of her different ways, but you were never successful.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
And were you also intending to request that she provide an addictive evaluation,
Yes, sir.
but you were never able to actually communicate that to her?
Yes, sir. But no, sir. Wasn't able to communicate with her.
All right. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Board members, any questions for this witness?
So. You good?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
So she is, obviously, she's on probation for these charges, should be currently, that was 2024. I think she got 3 years probation. Do we know like an update on her criminal case? Is she meeting her probation standards? Has there been any update to any of her court filings? Has there been anything new since 2024?
There was nothing that I noted in Court Connect
Okay.
regarding her
Um,
probation.
And so I know we know from, where was that? Hold on. Sorry. I know it like in Miss Turpin's report, I know we know she was working up until September of this past year. So do we have any, I mean, I know we haven't contacted, but do any record or any way of knowing if she's currently practicing as a nurse?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
Any additional questions, Mr. Petty?
I think that covers it.
Till the end of this month, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
When a license goes, when it's suspended, obviously I know the employer, it's their job to kind of verify a license, but I also know sometimes that might not happen unless you're newly hired or whatever that looks like. Is there any communication that goes out when a license is suspended or revoked? Because you'd have to know where they're working. It's not like there's some.
There's an
I-
e-notify. I do have a system called e-notify, but the employer would have to
Log in and
be a
looking for
part of
that.
e-notify to be able to get notified that there was a change in license status. Yes.
Just because now I'm curious, do you know the numbers of who's a part of e-notify? Like how many employers in Arkansas utilize it?
I don't know how many, and I think a lot of the larger hospital organizations do, but I don't know.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not enough.
Any other questions for Mr. Ward? Okay, great. Mr. Dawson, do you have any additional witnesses?
No.
Okay, and would you like to make a closing statement?
Yes, just briefly to reiterate, I think if, in this particular case, I think in the past, when we've had someone's on a summer suspension, and we know where they're working, you know, the board staff has contacted the employer immediately to let them know that. And so we'll continue to try to find out information. I don't know if we'll be successful, but once again, because of the due process issue of her actually having actual notice of today's hearing, I think it would be better for you in response to the criminal bar statute to not deny the request for waiver at this time and suspend the license, giving her an opportunity, if she ever does apply for reinstatement in the future, to appear back before the board to have that waiver issue considered at that time, and also to have the issue of whether or not she needs probation because of the practice issues considered at that time, reconsidered.
Great. Okay. Is there any additional testimony or evidence to be entered?
No.
Okay. At this time, the board will now go into deliberation. I would just like to remind everyone that while we are in deliberations, there will be no further input from anyone. The board is now in deliberations. Just as a reminder, everybody, we're looking at A2, violations of A2 and A68, which I think that there's substantial evidence of such. And there was not a motion that was necessarily had all the language that we wanted. So I do have a motion before me if you guys are interested in hearing that. And with that, I move that based on the evidence presented and the allegation contained, in the order and notice of hearing, the ASBN finds that the license of Amanda Elaine Hernandez Van Tassel, LPN license number 222971, be suspended until the respondent appears before the board and requests a waiver. Any discussion or questions?
No.
Okay. Tabby, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will carry. The board is now out of deliberations and back on the record. Let the record reflect that the respondent is still not present in the boardroom. The motion has already been read into the record, and that motion did carry. Oh, excuse me. And I would like to go ahead and offer that the motion that was presented and of course passed be labeled as Exhibit 7. Did we vote? Yep. Okay, great. Ms. Van Tassel does have 30 days to appeal this decision in Pulaski County Circuit Court or in the Arkansas County in which she resides or does business, and she'll be provided a copy of this motion, and appropriate board staff will be available to answer any and all questions that she does have. And this will conclude the case. I see pointing. Oh, excuse me. Okay. The time is 2:44 p.m. and this will conclude the case of Amanda Elaine Hernandez Van Tassel. Thank you guys so much.